Yo, this is Main Phase. I'm just here answering a few cues about this and that for Locked On. It's a big one, you know, because I always kind of was into music, but I got into especially the UK lean bass music back when I was in the first school you're in. During that period of my teen years, I remember running home from school to catch Rinse shows. I especially remember Youngsters, dubstep ones, Hatches, more proto-y leaning ones. But online radio really did a lot for someone like me who's not born here. I didn't have the ability to go to raves like a lot of other people my age. YouTube, you know, online radio, digging records. I have a bit of family in the UK, so every time I was over here when I was a teenager and a kid, I would go record shopping, digging through archives, learning about the music. So I think getting into the UK thing was like a slow moving thing for me. Started with dubstep and grime, moved into garage, then to jungle, then back to dubstep. But I think what really stayed with me was UKG, and especially two-step. It's a bit of a nerdy one because the term main phase actually comes from the card game Magic the Gathering. I used to smoke more than I do now, and I would play this game, and I remember making these tunes way back, like when I was 16, 17, that were like UKG leaning, and I would need an alias because my other one was mainly for house and techno. I would just be sat there with my friends, kind of stoned, and be like, oh, you know what, I need a new name for some music. And they were like, haha, just choose something from this game, bro. That's where I came from, you know, and I stuck with it because being a nerd is a lifestyle. I think the main scene of Denmark, and especially Copenhagen, where I'm from, is a queer, trans, and fast techno scene, which is super healthy for clubbing in general. In Denmark, there's a lot of space for queers and non-binary people, and there is a small and quite vibrant bass scene brewing up. And I think within the last few years, that scene that used to be very backpacks in the club, big fat hash joints, hoods up, very male and pale, has kind of shifted to being more inclusive and also driven by a lot of very strong female and non-male figures in the scene. As of recent, the scene in especially Copenhagen, when it comes to bass music, is actually super sick. It's not a big city, it's not a big country, but we definitely have big ears. There's a big bass scene brewing. There's a lot of young, up-and-coming people in Copenhagen that are extremely interesting. There's this duo called Dirty Plates that are quite cool. I just see a bit of myself in them because they're like so hungry and eager, you know, in a sick way. Obviously there's Smokey, she's been about for ages. Playing wonky, weird, bassy stuff. Any girl playing mainly breaks. But also wonky stuff. She's, I think, originally from, not London, definitely UK. There's small labels popping up. Savvy DJ has been doing bits for years in house and techno, and he's moved into the bassy stuff now as well. There's a big pool of talent with a lot of other places that I play in Europe that's not the UK. People need to find their way in the vast scene that is bass music, and especially UK leaning bass music. It's looking healthy for the Scandi bass. Tell you about these two tunes. Yeah, I mean, they're fucking great, you know. But usually when I go to the studio and make a tune, it's like, okay, cool. Do I want to make a banger for peak time play? Do I want to make something that shows what I've been listening to recently? Do I want to make like an introverted sort of dark tune? But for this one, I see this weird place in between 4/4 garage and house, even like newer tech housey leaning fast house. There's a weird gap in there where you can swing your drums and you can have cheeky organs and you can have cool vocal samples, but it's kind of housey as well. And I think with this release, I kind of wanted to try and look at that place and see if I could make something that would fit in right between. I don't think they're necessarily peak time tunes. I played one of them yesterday and they kind of went off, so maybe they are, but they're not the peak time tunes I usually make. They're more fun, they're more driving, and they're not really heavy on the drop, they're more interesting, I'd say. And I definitely want to try and make more tunes like this. You can definitely see why they had to be on the release together. One of them is to just send it out to people I admire. I mean, IPC and I, we always send tunes back and forth when they're very much in the making, and we'll send small notes, bro, what's that open head doing, turn that down 2 dB. And I admire him obviously a lot for what he's doing and has done to the scene, but more so just I admire him for his skills in productions. You know, most of the time he'll be like, oh, nothing needs to be changed, bro, it's perfect. So I'll just go out and I'll play that tune. I'll listen to it on my way home from the studio. And I know for a fact that if I've made a tune in the studio and I've bounced it, and I instantly feel the urge to send it out to good people in the scene that I want to have play it, and I listen to it more than like 2 or 3 times in a row on my way to pick up my kids, I know for a fact that it works, you know. And if I listen to it once and I'm a bit like, oh, okay, cool, I might have a look at that again, I probably will never open that file again. I've answered this for some people before and I've said breakage hard.
So I stepped up my lyrical game and I make sure my drums and bass bang harder. While them man I see can fail me and dubs are in the studio working.
Because that is the one that will definitely never ever leave my USB. But there are a few other ones as well. I'll probably have to go with one that I play a bit too often. Not because it's a bad tune, but because it's the perfect ending tune. And it's You Don't Know Me by Armin van Helden. It's just the perfect hands in the air nod to like the cool area of house music. It's also very well produced and it's like filtery, French housey, but at the same time swingy drums, hard chunky drums. And I've played it way too many times and I've ended on it way too many times. I've ended on it so many times that sometimes people are like, oh, why didn't you end on that when I set finishes? It's just such an all-around massive, massive tune. That will definitely never ever leave my USB. Well, I've had a few aliases before, with all of them included, I don't know. There's a fair few tunes I made back when I was 13, 14 that I'm super happy about never seeing any play anywhere ever for the rest of history. And it took me a while to learn not to play these tunes for other people back in the day. I've probably made above 500 tunes, I think. I've made a lot of music throughout the years. You know, every now and then when I get super inspired by something, like lately I'm on a bit of a weird tip where in the airports I will listen to old, weird, chunky techno bits from the 90s and 80s, and I'll try to just make it for fun in the airport. So I've probably made, since March, 30 or so odd shit techno tunes. Just in airports, just for myself, just having fun, you know. That happens quite a bit where I get into these weird places where I have to try out making stupid music. You need to be able to recognize something from it, whether that's a certain drum pattern, a certain tempo. It doesn't have to be super specific. I just think you can't break out an entirely new sound and it's going to be a club classic. It has to mold the build and people have to slowly get it. You know, it needs to be danceable, obviously. But if you make music for the clubs and not music for introverts, night buses or whatever, if you make music specifically for the clubs, I'm gonna have to say less is more. It's like my mantra now these days. I do feedback for people when I do mix downs, and I found myself doing this a million times as well. A tune's not working and you're like, oh cool, probably needs another snare, probably needs new string, or let's try lead in there and stuff like that. And you're just overdoing something that needs to be stripped back way more. You cannot make a club tune that's gonna be all over the place. You have to make a club tune that's simple, listenable, recognizable, and I think that stems from less but better elements. Don't overdo your tunes. If it's not working when you've got drums, bass, sample, it's not gonna work. Strip it back, start over. What did you like initially? What was the sample? Go from there, you know. But for an instant club classic, less sounds. We did this label during lockdown. We were both making tunes. We were like, oh, where to put them out? It's a weird time to be a producer and a DJ. You can't really do anything but make music. So we were making a lot of music at the time. We were chatting quite a bit, ringing each other saying like, do you want to just try and put it out ourselves, you know? And I got in touch with DJ Central from Aarhus in Denmark, who is an amazing label owner, DJ and producer, with a crew called Regelbau, which they were always pressing their own stuff and destroying their own stuff. I spoke to him about how to set up a label, and I rang Sack and I was like, yo, it's gonna cost this much. Do you want to just try and make 500 copies for fun? But we did, sold out. So we did a repress and sold out. And we're like, cool, let's just roll with this, you know, make our own thing. And we've had a break for quite a long time now because we were looking at a label deal and we were trying to elevate the sound get a bit more money into it, so eventually funnel out more money into the scene. Signing, you know, young, promising talent and ourselves, obviously. So that's where we are now. I just released Flavors with Capoli.
Rate me and I got Vex. I get around, get music checks. 1-2 clout and a music rep. I got flavors, too many flavors.
It's the first new relaunched HW release, and we've got so much music coming, and from now on, I promise you, it's not going to be a year and a half in between the releases. I mean, what comes with big money is you need to clear samples, so that is a bit of a piss take and quite long, but it has to be done respectfully to all these sample artists. It takes time. The only thing that comes to mind right now, because there's a lot of things you could say, sleep more, haha, blah blah, all that shit, but for me personally, it's don't drink. Lately, I've been avoiding drinks, except for yesterday. Everyone was together and I had a few beers, but nothing crazy, but like, I don't drink anymore when I play, and it's really done wonders for me personally, because like, I've got kids at home, flying, I just counted it yesterday, I've almost got 100 flying days a year, right? Big up the environment. I've just got so much mental overload from being alone and then being in the clubs surrounded by 1,000 people and then being back in the hotel by myself and coming home being not main face. It's a bit of a boring answer really, but it really is something that I wish I knew before. A more exciting and cool answer for this would definitely be bring records where you can to shows. You have these amazing pieces of music that you can't really find digitally. You're not really asked about bringing them because you're playing a 1-hour show. You don't know about the setup in the club and whatever. Demand a good setup. Bring your vinyl. Play these cool bits and try to take the raves to a place where it's cool for a DJ to make a long, interesting blend. Do vinyl only nights. Try to bring records as often as I can now if I've got space, and I'm really happy that I've come to the conclusion that I need to play physical music as well because it's cooler. My first ever gig was pressing play on Ableton with this weird long tune I made with loads of changes, and I was like, cool, live set. When I was 13 in Copenhagen with my mate, we were booked to play this hipstery, new ravey, quite shit party to be fair. We were wearing masks and we were being like, oh cool, this is the way, you know. And we were literally stood with a table with a shit PC on it, with a jack stick in it, pressing play, effects on the mouse pad. Bit cringe now, but at the time it was banging. And I remember it quite clearly because the masks were like panda masks. But my first DJ gig was probably around the same time. There was this club in Copenhagen called Dunkel, a Danish word for like dim light. And the owner of that club was quite cool and forward thinking at the time and had booked German-leaning, Balearic-leaning, deep house-leaning DJs and artists, Soundstream, Dixon. And I would play DJ sets in there with my friend, and we would only be 15 and 14, so we'd have to sneak in before security came. The owner would be like, oh cool, yeah, I just brought my nephews because their mum's out, and we would sneak up into the booth and play our set and then run out. But he'd come up while we were playing being like, yeah, this is cool guys, do you need something? And we'd be like, yeah, beer. And he'd be like, Coca-Cola guys, you know. I had some good nights in there. That was a sick club, and there were people dancing, you know. It's not often you get people dancing when you're playing the opening set. Big shout out to that place, man. It's not there anymore and hasn't been for a lot of years, but I think for a lot of people in Copenhagen and maybe in all of Denmark, that club really was of major significance to the electronic scene. I think the most memorable one for me from when I was younger was catching Scream play in Copenhagen when I was a big teenager. Wasn't allowed in the club, so I would be standing outside listening in through the windows trembling. I was just so gassed to finally witness a bit of UK in Denmark, even though I wasn't in there. But I could hear the rap, you know? So the real answer would probably be some shit band, dressed up cartoon band shit in a mall somewhere in Denmark. Best garage song ever made. Fucking hell, that's tough. I'm gonna have to pick something that's in my head right now because it's probably gonna change every hour. I could go like Gabrielle, but I could go Stone Cold, and I could go Daniel Bedingfield. No. Okay, I might pick one with a Craig David vocal in it actually, because there is a tune that really shaped my understanding of dub culture within garage. It's gonna change in an hour, but right now, right here, in this moment, it's gonna be faking something. I can stop this feeling. It's got a 4/4 mix mix on the one side and two-step mix on the other side, and they're both very, very strong. But that record, I think I've got 3 copies of it, because the first one I played so much when I started getting into garage, so I ruined it. Then I bought another one and I fucked that up as well, and then I bought a final one recently, actually, in Manchester, and it's quite a cheeky, cool, bubbly one. The two-step one is a bit darker and harder. The 4-step one is a bit more sort of suave UKG vibes. But for me, it's my most played garage record ever. It's got a catchy hook. Nowadays, you make garage tunes with an MC or a singer or a vocalist. You're not gonna make a hook and a verse, you're gonna make a long play one. I kind of miss the days where garage was also part of pop culture almost. And this is very much in between. I think it definitely works in both areas. A perfect summery tune if you want it to be a perfect club tune, a perfect by yourself tune. Just an overall really strong release. If you've got a copy out there, I'll buy it off you. I studied to be a journalist, you know, and I've worked as a journalist for quite a few years. It wasn't really for me. But music has been in my life, my whole life, and I've worked towards this my whole life, and I've done this on the side, even when I had other jobs, and I've always dreamt of this happening, you know, and now it's happening. So thinking back to a moment where I didn't think about music, at 6 years old, I would put on CDs in my shitty CD player. I would listen to rap music and stuff, get CDs for birthday, get CDs for Christmas. Everyone knew I was about music. If I wasn't doing music now, I'd probably be somewhere in South America brushing fossils. We live in a time right now where it seems like everyone just popped and everything's just massive and it's great all the time, and you see new artists popping all over the place. But I think very, very few of them had an instant hit and came out of nowhere. And if they did, it's probably going to be quite a rocky career, because they're not going to maybe match the tune or the performance, whatever that got them there. Take your time. It took me more than 15 years to get to where I'm at now, and I feel very comfortable where I'm at. I feel like I'm not cheating, I'm not doing something I can't do. I think I'm a really good DJ, I'm a really good selector and producer, and I feel very confident in my abilities because I've perfected them for years and years. Don't overdo it, don't overthink it. I mean, definitely throw yourself into it. Do what you can to get to where you want to be. Don't be hasty about it. It takes time to find good music. It's not just jumping on Bandcamp, going top 20. Dig on Discogs. You don't have to buy the records, just find the music. You know, dig on YouTube, listen to radio, find old CDs, find old mixes online, listen to what your favorite DJs are playing, and find the original artist. Maybe even go deeper, find the label, find the sub-label, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to happen all at once. It doesn't have to be a big TikTok moment. You don't have to be hands in the air, jumping around on stage from the very first day. You know, you need to have your mental health in it. You need to have your abilities in it. So take your time and perfect your craft, and then graft. Yes, this is the main phase. Again, thank you so much for watching me answer these questions for Lockdown. I've been a bit long at times, but I'm an articulate gentleman, so... Maybe cut that out. Take care. Yeah, thank you.